Call tonight's meeting to order. Good evening. Sorry for the little bit of delay that we had an illness that we had to call in a backup for, and that backup was kind and came in right away, so we're able to get started. So thank you for your patience. Do we have a closed session report?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing. What happened to Pledge Allegiance?
Yeah, good roll call first. No? Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stay out of it.
You're just the city manager. You're the big boss.
I'll get out of the way.
Okay. Mr. Peros, will you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item, Mr. City Manager.
You should do roll call.
Okay, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Litzter,
Here.
Councilmember Luevanos,
Here.
Councilmember Judge,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh,
Here.
Mayor Mashburn.
Here.
We welcome you to the Simi Valley City Council meeting. We are enjoying the good news that positive COVID cases continue to decline in Ventura County. Simi Valley businesses need your support as they recover from the pandemic, so please support them as much as possible. We do want to provide you with a reminder to continue to wear masks, use hand sanitizer, and wash your hands often. We also remind the public that COVID vaccines are available to all persons aged 16 and over. The City Council continues to hold our council meetings virtually. However, there are still opportunities for the public to participate in this council meeting. The public statements are received via Zoom. As noted on the agenda, the public was encouraged to register no later than 3:30 p.m. today if they wish to speak via Zoom. Written comments are also accepted by email. Those emails have already been provided to the City Council. However, they will not be read by the City Clerk this evening.
Once again, the city thanks you for your patience. During this local emergency, the city continues to provide opportunities for the public to participate in the business of the city and for their voices to be heard. With that said, we can move on with tonight's meeting. Agenda review. Any items anybody has any issues with? Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are requesting a continuance of item 4A, the public hearing on beekeeping. Staff just needed one more meeting to pull the information together, so we'll have it on the agenda for the May 17th meeting.
Great, thank you.
I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
A second?
A motion and second, call for the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
If any member of the city council may have a conflict of interest or any reasons why that member must abstain from the consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should declare at this time. Anybody have any issues that they want to recuse or anything?
Mayor, I don't have any specific issues, but I'd ask as we enter into labor negotiations that anyone who's on a board of directors make sure they cease from communications with regard to negotiations for those entities.
Okay. You have that? Did you have it? Yeah.
Just wanted to reiterate it.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 1D1, a proclamation recognizing the observance of Arbor Day and declaring the week of May 3rd through May 9th, 2021 as Simi Valley Arbor Week. And Stratus Peros is here for this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and council members. We are delighted to announce that the Arbor Day Foundation has once again recognized the city of Simi Valley as a Tree City USA. We are privileged to have a representative from the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection with us tonight to present an award on behalf of the Arbor Day Foundation. In recognition of our city achieving Tree City USA certification for the 21st consecutive year, therefore, I would like to present this proclamation to the mayor and city council designating this week as Arbor Week. Whereas in 1872, the first Arbor Day was observed with the planting of trees, and whereas trees are a source of renewal, add value to the urban landscape, moderate temperatures, clean air, produce life-giving oxygen, and beautify our community, and whereas the city of Simi Valley is dedicated to enhancing and preserving the urban environment, and in recognition of its commitment, has been named for the 21st year as a Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation. And whereas the city of Simi Valley City Council encourages residents and local businesses to support the expansion of the urban landscape by planting trees and observing Arbor Day on May 3rd, 2021. Now, therefore, the week of May 3rd through May 9th, 2021 is hereby proclaimed Arbor Week in the city of Simi Valley to urge all residents and businesses to plant trees, to enhance the beauty of Simi Valley and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Presented this third day of May, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Peros.
We do have a representative from Fire, from CAL FIRE tonight.
Mr. Herrera.
Yes, good evening. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of your city's Arbor Day observance. My name is Henry Herrera. I'm the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, Regional Urban Forester for Los Angeles and Ventura counties. The Arbor Day Foundation recognizes cities for their commitment to trees through the Tree City USA program. For a community to receive the Tree City USA designation, they must meet 4 fundamental components. The city must have a tree board or department, a tree care ordinance, a community forestry program with an annual budget of at least $2 per capita, and an Arbor Day proclamation and observance. Since 2000, the city of Simi Valley has shown its dedication to restoring, enhancing, and maintaining your community's urban forests by meeting or exceeding the Arbor Day Foundation's Tree City USA standards. CAL FIRE supports and delivers the Tree City USA program in California on behalf of the Arbor Day Foundation. As the CAL FIRE Regional Urban Forester for Los Angeles and Ventura counties, it is a great pleasure to recognize Simi Valley city officials, staff, and partners for the hard work they do to improve the quality of life for their citizens. I am honored to be here with you today to celebrate Simi Valley's Tree City USA designation for the 21st year. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next item on the agenda is item 1D2, a proclamation declaring the month of May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And Anna Medina is here for this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. This evening, we are recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas, developing and maintaining healthy physical and mental habits are an essential component of a healthy community. And whereas, while 1 in 5 people will experience a mental illness during their lifetime, everyone faces challenges in life that can impact their mental health. And whereas, misunderstandings exist about many mental illnesses in our culture, yet attending to mental health is as important to a person's well-being as physical health. And whereas serious mental illnesses have been scientifically proven to be highly treatable illnesses of the brain, are more common than cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, and are the #1 reason for hospital admissions nationwide. And whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness. And whereas the City of Simi Valley is committed to promoting a healthy community and encourages residents to visit simivalley.org/SV-mental-health to learn about valuable mental health services and resources available locally. And whereas the Simi Valley Youth Council works to increase awareness of mental health resources throughout the city and has organized a citywide Wellness Week campaign throughout the first week of May to help promote mental health awareness and decrease the stigma surrounding mental illness. Now therefore, the month of May 2021 is hereby proclaimed Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Simi Valley to increase public awareness of mental health, presented this 3rd day of May 2021. The Youth Council invites everyone to follow them on Instagram at Simi Valley Youth Council as they spotlight different theme days that make up their Wellness Week, such as today's Multicultural Monday, where they highlight all of the benefits of multiculturalism. Tomorrow, for Tools and Tips Tuesday, they will spotlight great techniques to reduce stress. Then on Wisdom Wednesday, Youth Council will release a guided meditation session on their YouTube channel to help students relax and increase their focus during stressful times. Next is Therapy Animal Thursday, spotlighting the benefits of having pets. For those that tag Youth Council, when they post a photo of a pet, they'll have an opportunity to win a gift card. Then on Fight for Awareness Friday, they are encouraging students and community members to wear green, the ribbon color for Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very important proclamation, and please pass our gratitude on to the Youth Council for all the work they've done to highlight the not only the need, but the resources available. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 1D3, a proclamation declaring the month of May 2021 as Older Americans Month, and Raquel Worth is here for this presentation.
I'll get you later.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of City Council. This evening, we are recognizing May as Older Americans Month. Whereas the City of Simi Valley includes countless older Americans who enrich and strengthen our community through their involvement in various boards and committees, volunteering in various capacities, and reentering the workforce. And whereas the City of Simi Valley is the proud home of over 18,000 residents, 65 years of age and older, and is committed to engaging and supporting older adults, their families, and caregivers. And whereas the City of Simi Valley is committed to providing opportunities that promote physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being for seniors to enhance an individual's wellness, independence, and financial stability. And whereas the City of Simi Valley recognizes the importance of promoting home and community-based services and resources that provide older Americans with critical services, such as nutrition programs and social services that help prevent food insecurity and help promote self-advocacy. And whereas the City of Simi Valley recognizes the contributions that older Americans make to the local workforce and community volunteerism, as well as the benefits their contributions make to local agencies, including the Senior Center. Despite COVID-19 restrictions, 124 volunteers donated approximately 11,172 hours in 2020. And whereas the City of Simi Valley is committed to ensuring that all older Americans in our community, especially the frail and elderly, receive the resources and services they need to live out their lives in a dignified and comfortable manner. Now, therefore, the month of May 2021 is hereby proclaimed Older Americans Month in the city of Simi Valley in recognition of the many contributions the older Americans make to our city. Presented this third day of May 2021.
Thank you, Raquel. I wonder why you kept looking at me as you read that proclamation. It had me a little concerned, but the reality is we know that via our senior center and our older community how much work is done, how much volunteerism, and how they serve themselves in reality also. Because many of them, age-wise, might be up there. However, if you look at the way they move around and go out and deliver the foods and what have you, it's amazing how active they are. So thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, before we go to the next one, if I think Elaine Litster wanted to speak.
Oh, I just, you're sweet, Mayor, give me to recognize me. And actually, since we just talked about older Americans, I'm going to actually mention that I was so impressed with that statistic that 124 volunteers logged over 11,000 hours last year in service to the senior center and others, which is commendable. But what I'd wanted to say in recognition of the Mental Health Awareness Month, the previous proclamation, I wanted to commend our police force and mention that many of their calls are based on mental health issues. But I know that they have been also involved in producing public service announcements to try to make our community more aware of resources and services. And that's all I wanted to do, was to commend them in that proclamation. That was all. But thank you, Mayor, for giving me a moment.
You're welcome. Next item.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 1D4, a proclamation declaring May 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and Police Chief Livingstone is here for this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. The City of Simi Valley has issued a proclamation declaring May 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the city. Unfortunately, we were unable to have someone here to accept it. However, it's now my privilege to read the proclamation. Whereas peace officers throughout the United States, pursuant to their sworn duty to safeguard lives and property, place their lives on the line to maintain public order daily, and each year hundreds of police officers are either slain or injured in their attempt to protect and serve their communities. And whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy, in conjunction with Congress, first proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in recognition of the law enforcement professionals killed or injured while protecting the lives and property of American citizens. And whereas it is desirable to remind the community of these officers' sacrifices and to support those who day and night stand guard to protect all citizens through enforcement of the law. And whereas the tragic loss of Officer Michael Clark on August 4th, 1995 will forever endow a special and very personal meaning upon Peace Officers Memorial Day for our community and its police officers. Now, therefore, in recognition of those officers who regularly risk their lives and those who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty, Saturday, May 15th, 2021 is hereby proclaimed Peace Officers Memorial Day in the city of Simi Valley to encourage all citizens to join in recognition of these officers and order the flags at all city facilities to be flown at half-staff as a visible sign of our tribute. Presented this third day of May 2021. And since we don't have anybody here to accept it, one of the things I'd like to do is just share some feedback from one of our residents about an officer. It's been a hard year this year, and you know, we have been continually making efforts to engage with our community, but I think sometimes people feel that the majority of what we do is driving fast and, you know, things like that, and you know, 95% of what we do involves basically service and you know, not using force and engaging with people in that way. So I thought this letter kind of captured that. I get these quite often. I sometimes share them with council. The officer did not want me to use the name, but this is from a family. Dear Chief Livingstone, I wanted to inform you that my husband and I are very grateful to one of your officers for the assistance he gave us on Sunday. Our son had been reported as a runaway for nearly a week. When we finally located him, we called the police department, and the officer returned him safely to our home. I was very impressed with the sympathy and understanding he had for us as parents, and also the manner in which he dealt with our son. For the first time in 6 days, I felt someone really cared and was concerned with our nightmare. Simi Valley is very lucky to have such a fine police officer on their force. We have a lot of hard times ahead of us, but we are very grateful for his help so that we can continue to try and resolve the problems we have had with our son. Please thank the officer for us again. Words could never truly express our appreciation. So I just thought I would share that because that's kind of a reflective of, again, 95% of what we do out there is just helping people, and the people that are attracted to this line of work come into it, with a service ethic and wanting to make it a better place. And I think we're very fortunate here in Simi. I've been here my entire 33-year career, and I got to say we have some of the finest officers in the country. And every day I thank my lucky stars, that we have such good officers, and we have very high standards. So as long as I'm the chief, we're going to continue that. And I think, it's just, like I said, it's unfortunate I can't have some officers here to accept it, but I know that they, on their behalf, that they appreciate this recognition, and I'm happy to read that proclamation. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for reading that letter. That was very inspirational, I would say. I think everyone knows that Simi Valley suffered the loss of an officer on duty, just like many cities across this nation. So this is very appropriate that May 15th be Peace Officers Memorial Day. And I hope everybody will notice that on May 15th, the lights around City Hall and the police station will be in a blue hue to recognize those officers that are no longer with us. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 1D5, a proclamation declaring May 6, 2021 as a day of prayer, and Police Chief Livingstone will present this one as well.
Mr. Mayor and members of City Council, it's also my pleasure to have the honor to read this proclamation. And this is another one that is near and dear to my heart, and is also very historical because we had just talked about President Kennedy. Now we're going to talk about President Harry S. Truman. Whereas National Day of Prayer was created in 1952 by a joint resolution of Congress and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman, and whereas in 1988 legislation was unanimously ratified by both houses of Congress and signed by President Ronald Reagan, stating that the National Day of Prayer was to be observed on the first Thursday of every May, and whereas the Simi Valley Faith Community, through the coordination of the Simi Valley Pastors Prayer Gathering, pray for God's blessings and grace upon the community, our city leaders, school board members, area businesses, schools, and the spiritual needs of the community, and whereas it is an opportunity for the faith community to encourage unity among the churches and faith-based nonprofit organizations to be a viable resource to the city. Now, therefore, the City of Simi Valley hereby commemorates May 6, 2021 as Day of Prayer, which gives all of the residents of our community an opportunity to continue to offer thanks and acknowledge all who work so hard on behalf of the citizens of our city, and to observe this day in ways appropriate to its importance and significance. Presented this third day of May, 2021.
Thank you. And thank you to the faith-based community for all they do for us.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 1D6, a proclamation declaring the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 as Public Service Recognition Week, and Samantha Argabright is here for this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. This evening, the City Council is recognizing Public Service Recognition Week, and I will read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Simi Valley has nearly 500 public servants across departments who faithfully serve the city's residents each day, and whereas these public employees have taken not only jobs but oaths to serve this community, and including in the event of an emergency, and whereas public employees were deemed essential workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the city's staff served on the front lines to ensure vital community services were not interrupted, and whereas public service is not just a vocation but a calling that serves the greater good and is not driven by profits but by providing the best quality of life for the community. And whereas public servants hold a variety of occupations that require specialized expertise to provide diverse services with efficiency and integrity, often during evenings and weekends to ensure residents are able to engage in the public process. And whereas public servants at every level provide continuity in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now, therefore, the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 is hereby proclaimed Public Service Recognition Week in the city of Simi Valley to acknowledge the dedicated service, accomplishments, and contributions of the employees of the city of Simi Valley over this past year, presented this 3rd day of May, 2021.
Thank you. I hope everybody understands the importance of all positions, anybody that's in public service. It's not only the ones that are driving the pretty fire trucks with the red lights and the police cars with the blue lights. It's those that are sitting behind the counter and waiting on the public and doing such a fine job. And the city of Simi Valley has an incredible group of people that serve this community. So thank you very much to them.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 2, public statements on appointments, special presentations, and informational reports. There are no items this evening under appointments, special presentations, or informational reports. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next item on the agenda is public hearings. Agenda item 4A, a continued public hearing to consider city-initiated Simi Valley Municipal Code Amendments Z-S-754 to revise portions of Title IX for establishing regulations to allow beekeeping, apiculture, activities in single-family, residential, and open space zoning districts, and a determination that the amendments are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and introduction of an ordinance. This item is recommended for continuance to May 17, 2021. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next item on the agenda is item 5, public statements. This is the time for public statements on all items other than public hearings, appointments, and informational reports. All comments submitted by email have already been provided to the City Council. However, they will not be read by the City Clerk this evening. All persons who registered by 3:30 p.m. today will be called on to speak during the public statements item 5 for a period of no more than 3 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Mr. Mayor, unless you have any comments, we will begin the Zoom public statements.
No comments. Ready for the first speaker.
Mr. Mayor, the first speaker is Rocky Rhodes. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and City staff. My name is Rocky Rhodes. I'm in the Bridle Path neighborhood. I was not aware that this was Public Service Recognition Week, but it is timely because I'm doing just that tonight. I wanted to remark tonight about a great project put forth by the city, and in particular celebrate a wonderful staff member. The Youth Employment Services unit of the city had a fantastic event this past week. As you probably know, every year a job expo is held to bring together the employers of our area with young people 14 to 24 that are seeking what is likely their first job. This job fair is usually held in one day, but as with most things this year, a pivot was needed, and the job fair was held virtually over 7 days. Hundreds of job seekers were exposed to thousands of job openings, and additionally, informative videos were posted for applicants about the basic concepts of how to dress for an interview and what to expect if you get an interview. Volunteers gave mock interviews so applicants could hone their skills. My son participated and is reaching out to a local company for a summer job. So I really particularly want to recognize Christine Tignac that runs this program along with many others for the youth of our city. Her dedication and tenacity made the job fair possible. I thank her personally, but also on behalf of my son for doing such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have one more speaker, Joe Pachowski. Mr. Pachowski, please unmute yourself. You may proceed, Mr. Pachowski.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. Sorry, it always seems to wig out every time you try to unmute me. Anyway, good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. I was doing some reading this weekend and I learned that today there is a National Day of Refusal that's going on apparently nationwide across college campuses. Basically, the purpose of the National Day of Refusal appears to be an effort to remove cops from all campuses, from kindergarten through college. And so I just thought that it would be an appropriate time, and based on the other parts of the agenda, it seems extremely appropriate to call in tonight and just to commend our police, our Simi Valley Police Department for the outstanding job that they do on an everyday basis. I'd also like to commend the city staff, given that it is National Public Employee Awareness Week as well. And I just wanted to commend everybody for the outstanding job that both the police department's doing along with our entire city staff. So thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have no other speakers.
All right. Comments from the council regarding the two speakers this evening. Councilmember Luevanos.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just, I would just like to address the fact that as an educator, I believe in investing in the trauma and support services, trauma counselors and support services that our students mostly on campus. Having worked in high school and elementary and middle school for over 21 years, I can tell you that after going through what we've gone through with the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's happened in this country in the past year, we definitely need to show faith in our students by having support services there. And, SROs are just not supporting our students in the professionally trained way that professionally trained trauma counselors and support services would. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Yes, Elaine.
No, I just want to piggyback off of what Mr. Rhodes said, and that I do think that our Youth Employment Services has done an exceptional job, and wanted to echo his comments and say thank you for the work that's being done there. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 6, the consent calendar. And there are 3 resolutions for your consideration this evening. The reading of the resolutions is as follows. Consent to item 7, resolution number 2021-11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley implementing a schedule of sanitation rates and fees and authorizing the County of Ventura to collect residential sanitation service rates on the tax roll for fiscal year 2021 to 22. Consent to item 8, resolution number 2021-12, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing the execution and filing of a claim with the Ventura County Transportation Commission for allocation of Transportation Development Act Article 3 funds for bicycle and/or pedestrian purposes for fiscal year 2020 to 21. Consent item 9, resolution number WWD 282, a resolution of the Board of Directors of Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8 establishing a water service standby charge for fiscal year 2021 to 22.
All right, any questions from council on any of the 9 items on the consent calendar? Okay, we'll start with Elaine. What questions?
Actually, I just have a quick question on number 9.
Number 9. We're going to hold you to that quick.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Thank you.
Okay, and Councilmember Luevanos,
I'd like to pull items 5 and 8 from the consent calendar, please.
5 and 8?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll start with number 5. Questions to staff on number 5?
Yes, I just curious, the total contract amount is to not exceed $327,848. Would those funds be better used to invest in housing for our veterans?
City manager,
Well, that's more of a policy decision for the city council. The funds we're requesting is a continuation of the Armed Services Banner Program that is, provides for the banners that are around the community. If the council wants to defund that, that's sort of the council's option.
I just think it would be a greater show of our support for our veterans to house them. Not that there's anything wrong with banners, and I definitely want to acknowledge the service of all of our veterans in the city, but at the cost of, $73,000, $51,000 a year, and then for a total of $327,000. That's a lot of money, and that's quite a few veterans that we could house. And I think that would be the ultimate way to demonstrate our support for our veterans by making sure that they have housing.
I do want to clarify that the extension is only the $51,900. The $327 has been over since 2016, so it's over a multi-year period. It's over that almost it'll be 6-year period. So it's really we're only talking this action is $51,900.
Would it be possible for the future that we consider investing? So the total by the time we're done is going to be $327,000 if we approve this $51,900 tonight?
That's correct.
So we could feasibly, take that $51,900 and invest it towards and maybe consider the cost of the $327,000 towards providing permanent housing for our veterans in the future?
We a council decision.
I'd like to interrupt here. I think this is the inappropriate time to discuss this. What's on the consent calendar is the approval to move forward on the existing program. And I think maybe at item 9B would be appropriate for you to ask to agendize that to make changes to it. But at this point, to take those funds and move it into a housing fund, I don't think that's what we're prepared to do tonight. I'm looking at the city attorney.
The debate on the contract is whether just to approve it or not. It is, within the bounds of the Brown Act, talk about that the money could be used for something else, but the mayor is correct. To debate on exactly what that is would not be appropriate.
Yeah, so it's a matter of either we want to pass this or we don't want to pass it. But I think at 9B would be the time to bring up a complete change of funding.
So would it be appropriate to make a motion for that funding to be used for housing for veterans at this point in time or not?
That would be out of order on this, just to pass it or not pass it.
Okay. I'll wait till 9B. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, item number 8.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to make one quick comment
Sure.
on that.
Okay.
We have public participation in that. Do those funds somewhat offset? For example, families would pay $100 for a banner or $150 for a banner to put the name submitted. I thought that's what, at one point, that's what we were doing. I don't know if we're continuing to do that.
Back in 2010, there was a program set up through the Chamber of Commerce for donations, et cetera, for the program. However, the donations really weren't that substantial, so I believe both the chamber and the city agreed to stop that program.
Okay, thank you. I just know we did one for my nephew, and
Yeah.
so we paid. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question as a follow-up to what Councilmember Kavanaugh asked?
Are you back to 5?
Yes.
Okay.
So does that mean that the city fully funds this and there's no funding from the Chamber of Commerce at all?
Currently, yes, that's correct.
And if I might say something about this particular program, I mean, we can discuss this later if that's where we want to use funds, but we are just really approving that last 50,000. And as I think about the Pongo family and a dear friends of mine who honor their veteran daughter who's serving overseas, I just think this is an incredible thing that we offer in our community, that this small amount of funds is well appropriate to honor and recognize those who are serving our country and serving our community. And so we can certainly 9B discuss it for future. And this is the end, is the last time that this fund, the program officially ends with this approval. There's no further extensions, I should say. It has to go out for bid again, or et cetera, if I understand correctly. But I just want to go on the record to say I think that this is, that these funds are very well spent, that we need to honor people who are sacrificing so much.
I just piggybacking on what you're saying, I agree with, we should honor our veterans. It's just the way that we go about doing it. But I would like to see if in the future we continue to do this program, that we get some buy-in from the Chamber of Commerce or sponsorships like Councilmember Kavanaugh mentioned.
Okay, let's move on.
That's not what I mentioned.
I got one
Councilmember Judge.
Just one thing I want to piggyback on is these banners are not for veterans. These banners are for active duty serving members of the military. They become veterans once they're honorably discharged from the military. And I think we should vote on 5 right now. That way, if anybody has any problems with it, it doesn't hold up the rest of the vote on the entire consent calendar. So I would move staff's recommendation on item 5.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion for number 5, consent 5 only. This is only on consent 5, and we'll call for the vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Luevanos voting no.
That was an abstention, and that was because I'd like to see the funding used for housing.
You got it? Abstain, okay. All right, Councilmember Luevanos, number 8.
Yes, I had a couple questions on, this is for the Arroyo, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get the right name here. The Arroyo Simi Trail and Greenway project. I don't know who to ask questions.
That's correct.
Who do I ask questions of?
I'll take them until I run out of
I'm
information.
waiting for someone to come to the mic. I didn't know who to ask questions to. Okay, I just want to make sure that as we move forward on this, that we're coordinating with the city of Moore Park to make sure that the extension of the Arroyo pathway goes through the city of Moore Park. My understanding is that the long-term plan is that eventually people can bike, like from Simi Valley all the way to the coast. So are we coordinating with them?
We coordinate as much as we can with Moore Park, but the plan is to build it out to the city limit, and then Moore Park would take it from their point. I believe, does it transition to Los Angeles Avenue at that point? I believe it does, if I remember correct, Ron.
The path goes just west of Madera Road. And I think at that point, there's no more space or right-of-way to build anymore. However, our 2 West Los Angeles Avenue widening projects from Madera Road to the Moore Park city limits did add bike lanes. So someone could come up at Madera Road, go up to Easy Street, and continue on bike lanes all the way to Moore Park.
And that addresses one of the issues that I wanted to ask questions on, is to make sure that we are coordinating our bike pathways, because I know there's part of it, and I have quite a few friends that bike around the city, especially in scouting. And so they've said, some of the transitions are difficult because you have to cross the street or you have to go. So I want to make sure that as part of this Arroyo Greenway project, that we make sure that we have repainting and making sure it's safe and people know where to go to transition to another part of the trail. So will that be included in this project?
Well, this project, for clarification, is going to be designed and constructed by the Park District. They're the ones that got the original grant. And it goes from Taplow Street to Sequoia. So at this point, there's no changes or modifications west of Taplow Street. This project is going to handle that section.
But
that new
each segment of the section does have the signage to provide for the direction to go, because it does transition from one side to the other at several locations. So it does coordinate with signage along the way.
Okay, and it says here that the project will be designed and under construction prior to 2023. Is there a timeline for the completion of this project?
I'm not aware of it at this point. I think the Park District still has to finalize the design before they can put together a construction timeline.
Well, and if I understand what we're approving tonight, we're approving the $100,000 grant that we're receiving from the county that will pay a portion that we have pledged. Is that accurate? That's what this is that we're approving tonight, which I think is very commendable that we're getting such a lovely project to continue, and we are getting grant funds to support our contribution towards that.
Right, the Park District's been the lead on this. When I was in the Park Board,
Correct.
we were always the lead on this project.
Correct.
And got the grants.
Correct. So we're supporting, we provide our bike path money to the Park District, and we support them in this project, and provide them for matching funds in order to continue to build it out. I believe didn't they just get $1 million grant?
It's $1 million
Yeah.
for this particular project.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have one more question, if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
And this relates to safety issues, because I've already had several residents that have come up to me to inquire about, will there be lighting? Will there be, security? Because there are parts of the pathway that are, we have had our police department have to respond to issues on there. So will there be lighting? Will there be safety? Because that does impact our city budget directly.
I believe they locked the bike path at dusk.
Yeah.
The bike path, so they're closed at dusk. Most of the bike path does run behind homes, and so they don't want a lot of lighting. That's going to create a problem for the homeowners that are there. So they do close the bike path at dusk.
Will that include developments that we've approved that are adjacent to this, that have their own private, entryways or gates to this Arroyo pathway?
They are usually conditioned to close the gates at dusk.
Can we make sure that that's part of the covenants that we have, especially with developments we've already approved and that may not have been built, and for future developments as well?
That one last item is probably outside the scope of this
Okay,
meeting.
thank you.
Message heard.
Okay, Elaine, number 9.
Yes, thank you. I understand that Ron, you might be the one, sorry. This is adoption of resolution that basically discontinues the water service standby charge for properties that are vacant, if I'm not mistaken. And if I did the math, the report says we had 42 properties that have water available, but that are basically will be assessed this water service standby charge. Based on my calculation on what that total is, it looks like that's about 323 acres of undeveloped land. But my question is this just land that is part of the Water District number 8, or is this land that is specific to the entire city of Simi Valley?
No, this is just Water District number 8.
So that would represent about 2/3 of our city. Is that, do we assess water standby? I guess we don't provide water to access to, other than those that we service with Water District.
That's correct.
So we don't assess any fees to vacant parcels, water-related, that are outside the district. That's what I'm trying to.
If they're in Golden State water.
If they're in Golden State water, they would not be assessed. Does Golden State assess fees? And what are those fees? For
And they're going up.
Well,
And going up.
I know they do for water usage. I know that. My curiosity is, do they assess fees for a vacant parcel.
Do they have a standby
can-
charge?
Do they have a standby
I would
charge?
be surprised if they don't, but we can find that information and provide that information to the council.
I just think it might be informative, because as I read this report, yes, great, go forward. The question is, do we raise the rates? But to do so, we have to go through some machinations and voting, et cetera, that are very cumbersome for the amount of money that would be gained. But I would be curious to know what Golden State is
We
doing.
can find that out.
Because they are just as much a part of our city, in my mind.
Sure.
And I'd like, so thank you. That was-
We'll find that out. Yep.
Thank you.
Give Elaine the number.
That was quick, wasn't it, Mayor? That's it.
That was really quick.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, so now we're ready for a motion for consent items 1 through 4, 6 through 9.
Move consent items.
Second?
Okay, call for the vote.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, there are no items this evening under Agenda Item 7, Continued Business, and there are no items this evening under Agenda Item 8, New Business. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is Item 9A, City Council Member Reports.
Thank you. We'll start with Councilmember Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My calendar is very short. I did attend a virtual ribbon cutting on Wednesday, April 21st for the Simi Valley Leadership Class of 2020 and their remodeling of our Simi Valley Welcome Corner at the corner of Madera and Los Angeles Avenue. They did a great job in putting that back together. It looks very nice, and I'm very proud of the class of 2020, and I wish them well, and congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce for having the leadership program. I'd also like to say that I was very happy to see that on Sunday, the bowling leagues were back at the bowling alley over on the west side, and that stuff looks like it's slowly getting back. And that was it for my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Litster.
Thank you, Mayor. Beginning with Tuesday, April 20th, I did attend the Youth Council meeting, and as did Councilmember Luevanos, and as always, they're doing amazing things. You heard some of the discussion tonight of what they've been doing. This past Friday, they had a tremendous vape awareness event where people could come online and sign up to have their own avatar and participate. And as I understand, that's still going to be on, that access continues beyond that. So I encourage all of our youth and parents and those who have concerns about vaping, et cetera, that they examine that tremendous resource that's been set up. And I'll let Councilmember Luevanos talk about some of many of the other things the Youth Council have been doing. On Wednesday, April the 21st, several things that I was party to. At noon, I attended the Veterans Task Force. It was an interesting meeting as they are in the process of forming a nonprofit to deal with potential acquisition or building of a Veterans Task Force Resource Center. And I mentioned that because they are just in the formative stages. If there are anyone who might be listening that desires to be involved in that nonprofit project, this is the time to jump in, and please contact me. I'd be happy to give you further information and get you involved. Second thing I attended was the Business Recovery Task Force. One of the items that I think is worthy of mentioning is that for businesses that received the first county, the county just had a second round and they're finalizing the 5,000 grants. Initially, the funds were given to the first applicants last year. The second group of applicants are now receiving the 5,000. It is my understanding that the county has authorized, or is in the process of authorizing, an additional $9 million, which may mean for a second round of 5,000 for all those who've received. And that's quite commendable on the part of our county and would be a great resource for businesses. So I just wanted to mention that for businesses who have participated and have those funding need. The third thing I attended was the Simi Valley Arts Commission meeting that afternoon, and great things they've been doing virtually, but it was exciting in the conversation that they anticipate that late September will be possibly the anticipated production starting dates. And so for those of you who've been single season tickets, I mean, it's not firm, but that's a desire, there's a hope. Mentioned that on November 12th, that weekend, there's an altogether a fundraising event where basically licensing is going, the theaters is going to be free, where they can do some fundraising for this facility and for those acting groups that are part of it. Anyway, there's some exciting things happening, but appreciate what the arts have been doing virtually and are hoping to do in the future. On the following week, on Monday, April 26th, I was privileged to attend the Simi Valley Ed Foundation Teacher of the Month presentation, where Christine Rojo from Royal High School was recognized, and she is a wonderful resource teacher. In fact, I had one child who was benefited by her influence. I know many others, and she's been a wonderful contribution to her community, and so wanted to commend her publicly. On Tuesday, April 27th, I actually donated blood. The reason I mentioned that, that I learned that even if you have been vaccinated, they can still and would love to still take your blood. That should not stop you in any way from donating blood. So, and in fact, I was vaccinated the next day, so I chose one arm for blood donation, one arm for vaccination. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that please take advantage of the different blood drives you see in the community. And then that does take me the next day where I was vaccinated. Also, it's just some interesting vaccination things that I should mention that came out of the Ventura County elected official call that day. 60% or so have received their first dose in Ventura County. Over 85% of 65 and older have been vaccinated. And so I just want to commend our county's participation. But what is now happening, in the past week, people would have to make appointments online. Now the various county facilities have all transitioned to a drop-in center where someone can literally just walk in and say, I'd like to get my vaccination. And so I encourage those who have a desire to go ahead and do so. And of course, 16 and older right now can be so vaccinated. Also on that day, I attended the 15th anniversary of Burger Express, and I think we need to commend any restaurant that's been able to make it through this pandemic time and stay open and be able to keep their doors open. And so I just wanted to commend the brothers there that work and have made what a wonderful contribution. I was first introduced to that fun restaurant on LA Avenue after, I think, a high school football game. It's a great place. Thursday, April the 29th, actually I had fun doing a little bit of something for the Youth Talent Show. On Friday, April 30th is actually when the vaping night took place, and that's when I already talked about that. I think that's about it for my activities the last 2 weeks, but would like to mention a happy Mother's Day to those women next Sunday and all those who get to parent and are aunts and whatever and do all sorts of things. So it takes a village, I think, to raise great people, which is what our community is all about. And so that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lou Evanos?
I don't have much on my calendar, as I, like many teachers, went back to the classroom face-to-face, so I had to make sure everything was ready for my students. I did attend the youth council meeting. I think Councilwoman Litzler gave a good report. They have a lot of stuff still going on for Multicultural Festival Month, so follow them on Instagram. They're going to have stuff for mental health awareness all week long, and I'm not going to repeat that because it was already mentioned. I unfortunately did not make it to the 15th anniversary of Burger Express. Again, I am teaching back in the classroom full time, so it's hard for me to get to these events. I do want to wish all the teachers happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you for all that you do in the classroom. I know it's not been an easy year. Happy Administrative Assistants Week. We have some amazing administrative assistants here in the city of Simi Valley that are just amazing, outstanding, and always step up to the plate. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are celebrating Ramadan blessings to you and your family. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dee Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. See, on April 19th, I did meet with KB Homes regarding their Runkle Canyon planning up in that area. On April 21st, I also was on the Simi Valley Veterans Task Force that, as Councilmember Litster mentioned, that has evolved into a group where we're going to be incorporating as a nonprofit, developing a board of directors and bylaws, and looking to purchase or obtain property or a building so that the 5 veterans groups here in town can utilize it for meetings, for services, and/or for rentals out for social occasions to help pay for it. We do have some promising assistance once we've got all of our ducks in a row right now. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Also, I attended by Zoom the ribbon cutting for the remodel of the Welcome Simi Valley Corner. Leadership is a great program. I'm the class of 2005, and it's nice that every class can do a project in town and to benefit either the community or a nonprofit or something along those lines. It also really shares the inner workings of the city with people that might not have been familiar with it. So it's a great program. On Saturday, April 24th, I actually did, it wasn't city-related per se, but I did RILA, which was a Youth Leadership Awards for Rotary. We usually do it in person, but it's usually a 3.5, 4-day thing for high school groups. Since we couldn't do it last year or this year, we did a virtual one day. It went very well. We were smart, and we had 2 28-year-olds lead it and do all the technology. So we had a great time. We had 130 students from the District 5240, which is Kern County, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura. So we had a great time, and the students really enjoyed it. We thought they might be too bored to do another virtual program, but they actually weren't, and they really enjoyed it. It was a great event. On April 28th, Wednesday, I also attended the county's COVID call. They're getting very short because there's not a whole lot of negative to report, which is good. And they share a little bit of the positive, which is very nice. So on Thursday, April 29th, I had the pleasure, along with the mayor, of meeting with the town center tenants up at the Simi Valley Town Center Mall. The mayor and I shared different things, a lot of it dealing with the EDC, the Economic Development Collaborative, and the different programs that are offered, the advisors that are offered, all free of charge to our local small businesses. It was very nice. We had a couple of small businesses come up and say, I'm calling them tomorrow. And so that was really, really a good program. The mayor also shared other items, but I'll let him talk about that. And on Friday, April 30th, I actually witnessed a traffic collision here in town. I mean, it's a terrible thing, but I was very proud of our community and our first responders as a whole. The accident it looked bad. People stopped and ran to help. I mean, there was not even a thought. There had to have been 10 people running towards the 2 cars to try and help and assist. It was really, really great to see our community not even think about helping. They just got out. And then the fire was there and police was there. I thought fire was there first, Chief, but I think police were there first. You know, fire was right around the corner. The ladder truck was there first. Just what we needed, right? The ladder truck. But it was handled so well. Traffic Officer Laura Austin is who I dealt with, and she did a fantastic job, as well as all the other officers and the firefighters and the ambulance and the tow truck drivers. I mean, it was really, really, for a bad event to happen, a lot of good people helped. So I just wanted to commend all of them, especially since it's Public Service Recognition Week. So I thought that was good. That's the end of my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I just have to take 1 second before I start my report and give you a little education about the ladder truck. Okay, that ladder truck carries 4 highly professional, highly trained individuals that need to come to the scene so they can give their abilities to help the people that were involved in the accident. And that ladder truck, as you called it, also carries all the heavy rescue equipment in case anybody is stuck in those vehicles. That is the truck that also, and in addition to the ladder that you see, it's the most visible. However, there's all sorts of tools inside there. And
I stand reprimanded by the mayor. There were other fire trucks there too, and they all helped.
And they, yeah, okay. But I'm glad you were there and a good witness. That's good. Okay, on Monday, April 19th, I met with KV Homes folks about some changes they want to make up in Runkle Canyon area. It seems like markets are changing so rapidly that they had some changes they want to make, and we discussed that. On the 21st, I attended the Arts Commission meeting, and I want to give a shout out to Fred Hansel on what a fine job he's doing and bringing quality reports to the commission that are understandable, and to the staff who's been working with him and making these reports and budgets understandable to the commission. And at the same time, even though they're not under our jurisdiction, the foundation gives a report for the Arts Foundation and the quality report that came in and about what they're doing in the way of fundraising. And it certainly, they're painting a pretty nice future for our Cultural Arts Center. So that's very much appreciated. On Thursday, April 22nd, I did something that I would recommend everybody here avoid. I helped the chamber in a photo contest judging.
Ooh.
And when you have nearly 200 photographs and you have to judge, I think we needed 3 or 4 of them as the tops. It took hours and it was difficult, and I have to say, I don't want to do that anymore. It was way too hard to determine the best photos out of that group. There were so many great ones. So anyway, just a suggestion for the future. On Wednesday, April 28th, I spoke with a group from Simi Valley High School, and this group is focused on younger Americans getting involved in politics, or not so much politics, but in government and the community and understanding. It was a great opportunity. I really appreciated the questions. They weren't easy, but on the other hand, this group was so respectful, and we had a dialogue that went 2 ways, and it was great. And once again, I would like to point out to Mayor Pro Tem Dee Dee Kavanaugh that was Simi High School. Okay, on Thursday, April 29th, along with the Mayor Pro Tem, I attended the gathering at the Town Center where we spoke about EDC and other issues. And now I have to turn the tide and thank Dee Dee, because she brought her expertise in banking, her expertise on EDC and the collaborative, and spoke to many individuals that had great questions. And Dee Dee was definitely the person. I'm very thankful that she was there, because she was able to answer all those questions related to the EDC and the banking industry, and what people should do and how she can help them, and how the council in general helps all businesses in Simi Valley. I shared some information trying to just provide a little bit of knowledge to the folks on things like what you hear about. Maybe a lot of people think the council have a lot of control over the town center that we don't have. And so I was explaining the limitations and trying to get the tenants to understand, so they're not putting out a message that isn't necessarily accurate. And Dee Dee and I both encouraged them to email or call all council members with any questions they have before if they hear a rumor, give us a call so we can let them know, or at least research it before they spread a rumor that isn't accurate, which unfortunately does happen. Lastly, because we have some teachers here that kept bringing up teachers, which is a great thing because it's a great profession, I would just like to congratulate my daughter on 17 years in the school district and working at Vista Elementary. And we all know she does a good job coming from me, right? And with that, we'll go to 9B. Suggestions for future agenda items. Okay, Elaine.
I spoke with someone who has observed that there seems to be a huge increase in trash that's being taken to our dump from other portions of from LA County and otherwise. And this is a contractor who frequents there, and he said that he's talking to haulers from Santa Monica, et cetera, other areas. They're all bringing their trash here because it has the reputation of being the cheapest place to dump. And I don't know if that's accurate or not. I know that we receive a percentage when the tonnage exceeds a certain amount, et cetera. I know that's the case. But I guess what I think we should do is I'd like to at least have a report about maybe what the dumping rates, what they are around us, and maybe what the increase has been, if it truly is. Maybe this is just anecdotal, but I think we have a responsibility to monitor what is happening, going through our city to be dumped there. And so
Okay, I think we could clear it up without having to agendize it by inviting Waste Management to come out and give us a presentation on exactly those procedures, how they use them.
That'd be great to get what they do. I guess what I'd like to know is the comparison to the other other dumps, other areas where waste is disposed of. I just want to be sure that ours isn't the magnet for everyone in Southern California. I guess that, and so that, is there a way of getting tonnage
Well,
at other
yeah,
places?
I'll repeat. I'll just contact the Waste Management and ask them to provide at a council meeting in public a presentation on exactly that, and then we'll be able to ask them those questions.
Yeah, they have a contract, they are under a contract with the County of Ventura, so we don't have any authority over Waste Management or the landfill. It is very possible, I'm sure they are bringing trash in from outside the county, which they are allowed to do.
Sure.
We'd have to, I'm not that familiar with their MOU that they have with the County of Ventura. We would have to get that information from Waste Management. So we can either get that information for you, or we can invite Mr. Smith to do a special presentation to the council covering certain topics that could lead to other discussion, other questions that you may have.
It's also, just for the sake of the conversation, if apparently Thousand Oaks just signed with a different outfit that brought their trash to Simi Valley, who will no longer be bringing their trash to Simi Valley. They're taking it to another site.
And I guess, Mr. Mayor, I should caution, the whole council can't have too much discussion on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Attorney. And so we will contact Waste Management and ask them to make a presentation.
Thank you. That would.
Okay, and remember, I don't know if, hopefully I can say this, all council members can go up there and get a tour anytime.
Yes, and I have visited there, and I appreciate that. I just want to be sure, because we haven't.
We got to stop there.
Yeah.
We'll bring them in.
Okay, thank
I
you.
want to go along with what he said. I could hear the city attorney was starting to growl a little. I think that meant that time was up.
Mayor,
Any other? Yes.
I have a request for 9B item. I would request that we consider using funding for housing our low-income veterans, working in collaboration with many mansions or any of the other nonprofit entities in the area to make sure that we provide housing for our low-income and homeless or at risk of being homeless veterans.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I need to understand better what you're asking. Are you saying you want us to take away from the banner program and take $50,000 and house?
No, this is a separate motion.
Okay, so that's
that
what I-
motion was already voted on. This was because we have had that development that came. I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't want to get in trouble. But we had a previous project that came to us for to house low-income veterans on city property that was adjacent, and that was turned down. And I would like for that project to come back up and for us to figure out ways that we can make that happen.
Okay, I think the city manager has something to say about that.
So that project went away, and that developer is no longer interested in doing that project any longer. We're working with another group right now that is looking at that property. Are you looking for just a commitment by the council to support veterans housing?
Yes.
Okay.
I
think that, well, I mean, the city is supporting all affordable housing, whether veteran or non-veteran. I think we're waiting for any project to come along. We certainly do have plenty of funding to support any project that would come along, but right now, unfortunately, the climate is not very good.
Well, and let me interject. At this point, it's, motion and second for the agenda, is some.
Okay, all right. So what the council member would like is a motion to discuss
funding
Funding
to support
for
housing for
veterans
low-income
housing.
veterans, yes.
Okay, so that's the motion. Do we have a second?
No one will support low-income veterans? Okay.
I, we're fine, because we've always supported them. Okay, any others? All right, moving forward, I'm happy to say that we're not adjourning in memory of anybody, but I would like to point out that a retired PSA officer, Micah Pisa, has been hospitalized for quite some time and was extremely ill. And I'm very happy to tell you that this morning I got a phone call from Mike, and he wanted me to know that he would be meeting us for coffee in the not-too-distant future, and that he did not cross the Rainbow Bridge. And I took his word for it. So I'm happy to report that Mike's doing much better, and we'll be out for coffee in the near future. So with that, the meeting's adjourned. Here.